Ladies and gentlemen, we're moving on to the next part of this morning's program. That is the CISL's youth program, CYP Meets Up, Building the Youth for the Future. So we need some people to come down front here who are going to be participating. Our moderators and our mentors, Iman Reda from GEDCO, Canada. Atheeqe Ansari from Emco, United Arab Emirates. Elyce Simpson from Simpson Seeds, Canada, perhaps related to the management. Mattia, Pedon, ACOS, China, and Faisal Majeed from Bombi's group, Pakistan. And the mentors, Tyler Thorpe, Agricom, Canada, Cindy Brown from Chippewa Valley Bean in the United States, David Lever from Advanced Seed AGT, South Africa. Gordon Bacon sends his regrets, but he had to step out for a separate meeting. And last but by no means least, Remo Pedon from ACOS, Italy. So here are our panel. I will turn this over to the first of our moderators, Elyce Simpson.
Thank you for those of you who've come to listen to what we're doing in our Young Professionals Committee. Basically, we're just, I feel, and I think many of the coordinators feel, we're just starting to get some real traction on this whole initiative. It took a little while to just get the ball rolling, as does with anything, but we're really starting to see some progress. So the main purpose of this session is to update you on what we've sort of done over the last couple of years and what we're doing now, and then what's kind of coming up. So we're all going to speak a little bit about those items. So first, I don't really need to reintroduce the 5 moderators on the committee that are up here. We're the original coordinators that started the group in Singapore in 2013. And this was decided by a group of peers. So basically some of the process and what we've been doing, we Skype, of course, we're all over the world, as many people are, so we have some, depending on where you're from, late night or early morning conference calls just to keep the process going. So we officially formed in 2012 in CL. The original actual concept, thanks to Hakan, actually was brought up at CISL, in Dubai, that this was something we should do. So then we held an official kickoff and invited anyone who wanted to participate and have input to come to meeting in CL. And then we finished up and formalized that basically the following year in Singapore. So we have, obviously kept minutes of what we've done and who attended. So we had good representation all across the world from people who were interested in joining the group. So that was exciting to see. And then we had a vote in terms of how we had our committee formed, and that's how the 5 of us became the committee. Those are kind of boring parts, so I'm not going to expand too much on them. So that was kind of about the formation, and we do continue to meet and work hard, and then Faisal is now going to continue with a little bit more in detail.
Thank you, Elyce. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Faisal Majeed from Bombi's group, Karachi, Pakistan. I'll be continuing with, as Elyce has already introduced that, how the CYP was formed. So I'll be continuing with it and informing you how we are working on it and what we are going to do next. First of all, we had to find the purpose of CYP. So we had 2 questions: why and who will be part of the CYP. The why part is to create a strong bond between the young entrepreneurs and young business persons who are in the pulses industry. And who can be the part of the CYP is any individual who is part of the pulses industry and is below 35 is eligible to be part of our CYP. Then we all decided to have a logo under the umbrella of CISLs. So we had a logo competition, and in that we invited people from around the globe to give their nominations and entries for the CYP logo to give a true representation of the youth under the umbrella of CISLs. So this is, I'm proud to announce that a company from Pakistan, which was selected at the end, and it was shortlisted by the coordinators and then approved by the executive committee. And this is the logo. The company was We Event from Pakistan. Then we had 5 main points which we had in the Singapore meeting, which we were looking forward for the next CSILs and working on the whole year. Those included the advertisement to be done via YouTube for the CYP. We were planning to make some videos on the entrepreneurship and the experience of different people in the industry so that newcomers in the industry can get benefit from that. We also planned a Chef Pulse competition for CSILs in Cape Town in 2014. I'll get back to that in the next slide. And we also organized a few events throughout the year during CSILs, Gulf Food, and Sial in different regions wherever the conferences were. And apart from that, we worked on social entrepreneurship and voluntary work and see how we can be part of IYOP and raise funds for this IYOP 2016. These are few events which we organized in the recent past, and the latest one was at the Hyde in Bellagio on Monday evening, and it, alhamdulillah, went very successful. There were a lot of young professionals coming in, and it was a good social event for us. Apart from that, earlier we had one at the Gulf Food, as Atheeqe is local in Dubai, so he was able to manage it and do the necessary arrangements for all the young professionals there. Apart from that, we had one at Sial, Paris in 2014. Before that, we had at Gulf Food in 2014 at the Calabar, the address. So we have been doing many events. Apart from that, we tried to pull off an event of chef competition by the name of Cook Off in Cape Town. And this was the advertisement we had. We did the budgeting, we did everything from the venue, talking to the chefs, making the plans, fixing the budget, everything was there. We even had the budget to pull it off. But what we lacked was the participation from you guys. What we need is your support to come and so that we can do more events and make our new young youth to be part of this pulses industry. So we would be very open for you guys. If you have any comments, whatever plans you want us to make new programs to help the new CYP members, and if you want to participate in that, we would appreciate your comments and your participation in that. You can put us on the email at csilsyouth@gmail.com, and my friends will be continuing and letting you know about that more. Apart from that, we have been having these conference calls, as Elyce has been telling you. So we had one in April 2025, April on 2013. Conference calls are not very easy because of the time difference. Elyce and Iman are in Dubai, they are in Canada, Mattia is in China, and sometimes in Italy. So the time zone is very difficult to get hold on, but still we manage so that we can plan for the upcoming events and what we need to do. So we discussed on membership, we followed on the mentorship programs, the logo competition was there at that time, and the upcoming gala dinner was also on the discussion. Then the advertisement, the chef competition was there, and social entrepreneurship and volunteer work, and how we can help the International Year of Pulses 2016, which is the agenda and mostly focused on. Now I would like to call upon Mattia from ACOS to continue with the presentation. Thank you.
So good morning, everyone. I will go on updating the status of the CYP and what we have done until now. So during the executive committee meeting on October 4th, 2014, that was all in Cologne, Germany. The committee was speaking about the CYP, and is right to notice that a CYP member was always inside the committee starting from 2012, I believe, at the end of 2012. And me personally and Iman, has participated to discuss about the future and the present about the CYP. At that time, ACAN urged us to get more involved with the scholarship initiative and the post-research initiative and talent development. These 3 items are being urged also the day before yesterday in the executive committee by ACAN as well. And so we are really looking into that. And this is what FAO is looking to see to finalize the acceptance of post-year 2016. In the same meeting, ACAN and the executive committee agreed to activate the social media CYP Facebook page and the Twitter account. Let me mention that we need to thank Nicole from IFT for the great work that she's doing and to help us with those 2 accounts. And Iman in that committee has asked that to be a part of the speaker committee. And then, of course, the logo that Faisal showed to you before has been approved in the committee as well. In that meeting, we agreed that to each standing executive committee, we will 1 or 2 CYP members will take parts of the meeting itself, and it has been announced about the FAO final acceptance for the International Year of Pulses. This is actually a log of a record of what we have been doing at the end of October 2013. So you can see the scholarship, the social media, the rebranding, and everything we have achieved for that time. And in March 25, 2014, we announced as well the cook-off and the CYP meeting and the future direction of the CYP. And we have discussed, again, what has happened between Singapore to Cape Town in the CYP. And let me ask Iman to come here and take the following part.
Hi, everybody. So in Cecil's Cape Town's meeting, May of 2014, we requested that from the executive committee that we needed to have mentors for us to relate to in order to achieve some of the activities and goals that the CYP have, and in order to meet some of the requirements and initiatives that are led by that was led by ACAN. So thankfully, we had 5 mentors, of which are now on the panel. Tyler Thorpe of Agricom. Can you just wave as I say your name, please? Cindy Brown of Chippewa Valley Beans. David Lever, Advanced Seeds. Gordon Bacon of Balls Canada. And Gordon? Okay, Gordon is not here, but he is a mentor of ours. And Remo Pedon of ACOS. We thank you all for coming. Now I'm going to ask a couple of questions to the mentors, and we would like their involvement. I believe you each have mics next to you, so I would appreciate your feedback and answers to this. One of the questions we'll start today is, how can CYP members get involved in certain GPC Cecil's activities as set up by the executive committee?
If I could take that?
Yes, please.
Because we have the International Year right now, it's a perfect opportunity for the Cecil's young professionals to get involved, especially as we look at some of the media work that we'd like done. So when we met the other day, we were talking about challenging each of you and all of your members to go back home, pull out your cell phones, and have a conversation with people in your country. Find a farmer that grows pulses and say, and tape that farmer. How is it that you grow pulses? Why do you do it? And then make it really meaningful and ownership of this individual. Do the same to somebody who likes to eat them. Why do you eat them? And then further, what's your favorite recipe? So that's some of the ways.
So if I understand quickly, essentially having some youths in a specific area going about taking small YouTube clips, and adding them to a specific website that is set up by CYP, potentially linking it to the CECIL's website and IOP website?
That would be right. We'd actually like to post them on our global or our consumer-facing website as part of IYOP.
That sounds excellent. So essentially, if we can call on any of the youth, even sitting in this room, if they wanted to be part of this challenge and initiative, could they sign up for it with us right now?
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you, Cindy. Did anyone have anything to add? Okay. Number 2, succession plan. There's a lot of this concern that was happening, part of which one of the processes was to have mentors online. Is there a process now in place by the Executive Committee for a succession plan? How are the current board members communicating with CYP members, and what what should be required minimum number of voting CYP members on the Executive Committee?
Excuse me. There's a few questions there, Iman, so bear with me for a moment.
No problem.
I think initially one of the first things is the opportunities for young people in this industry are really overwhelming, and it's really come to light here for myself personally here by seeing the real push in the food ingredient sector, and with the many scientists we've had here at this convention, it really is taking us in a new direction. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for young people through that. So if young people are not necessarily actively involved even in trading, say, for example, there's all kinds of aspects of this industry scientifically that there's going to be many opportunities that are going to open up for young people. And as far as secession, well, the young people first have to take the lead to bring something, shall we say, to the table. And I think that there's, looking around in the room, and well, not necessarily this morning, obviously, but in the hallway and so on, and at the dinner last night, there's not a lot of young people, and that is a concern, I think, for people that have been part of CECIL's for many years, that there's not a lot of young people showing interest in pulses, and I think we have to push for that interest because, we are really on the threshold of something really big here now. I mean, we're not just talking about beans anymore. We're talking about protein, energy, human energy, and so on, as was pointed out the other day. So, I don't know if that's answered your question necessarily.
No,
but
so
I think
essentially the fundamentals to a proper succession plan is to first have active interest. So
Yeah.
not only to voice an interest, but to actually be there and be involved in standing committees in the thematic areas, and to show that so that slowly they can work their way up the chain. I know that Atheeqe will later go through more of the governance and structure. So thank you for that, Tyler.
You're welcome.
Third question, for talent development, scholarship, and funding research. So this is a bit of an area that Hakan has been pushing for the CYP to be involved in. It's a bit of a challenge for the CYP, given that we didn't have, prior to having this mentorship, a bit of direction. So it is challenging to expect us to take on this task without formal guidance and a framework by the Executive Committee. How does this fall into the efforts of IOP, firstly, and how can CYP be involved in activities throughout this remaining 2015 year for 2016? What exactly has the UN expressed or formalized to the Executive Committee about these types of initiatives? Could you please explain this?
Well, I'll start with the first part of your question with regards to scholarship and talent development. I think the key is not to concentrate, well, it is to concentrate on the talent development, but the key to that whole scenario is about the retention of that talent development. And we see this back home where we get universities, we get colleges involved. We support their studies, their initiatives, and it's no good to let them do all the work and then run off into the wilderness, never to be seen again. I think a big challenge for CECIL's as an organization, and for you guys as, you guys are not much younger than I am, but for the youth is that talent retention. Because at the end of the day, we need to have, we need clever people on board who are going to be doing the hard yards, the research, the publications, the long hours. And for me, that's the greatest challenge that I think we should focus on. In terms of the UN initiatives, I think Hakan has elaborated on so many of those for the last 3 days. It's something that's ongoing, and in terms of detail, we're going to be here a long, long time if we go into that, because it has been touched on already.
Okay, does anyone, yes, please, Cindy. Oh, Remo.
Yeah, I think that our committee, we need your support, because for us it's very important the International Year of Pulses. So I think that you start to come in our committee, and we need for new energy. We need, for example, social media, etc. That you help us because maybe you have also more time compare us, and you can help us in this way.
Okay, thank you. Cindy, please.
I'd just like to further go back to some of the IYLP things. And as I think about the UN and the Zero Hunger Challenge, and if you look at the way that correlates very tightly to our pulse products, whether it's sustainable diets or sustainable production, there's different caveats that the youth might take a look at, and it may give you a higher cause. So not only being involved in doing your daily work and being on the executive committee and understanding how the administration runs within CSILs, but a bit of a higher calling about what the pulse production is about and how we can make people's lives better. So there's those opportunities. The other aspect is in looking at climate change, and we were talking in the previous committee about smart agriculture and finding that tie-in, because you guys are all so global. You're from so many different areas, and to have youth-led initiatives on helping in those particular areas, I think would bring you a lot of meaning in addition to what you're doing on your daily basis, and it may create more passion.
Okay, great. That leads the way to essentially within the scope of a position that a youth is holding in any company, they can take on a passionate initiative that they have passion towards and lead that to something that may grow into an entrepreneurial activity of some sort within an IOP umbrella, because this will spur ideas, and those ideas can spur into realities that can be used by the industry. So that's great, basically leading to growth within our own organization. Thank you for that. Okay, just a little bit of background. It was requested by CYP to potentially start a certification program and within CSILs, and by that it was to have every CSIL's youth that had entered into the industry follow through with certain minimum criteria, such as knowing GAFTA rules, learning about shipping, and learning about brokerage and quality assurance for safety by independent inspection companies. They had to take a certain number of seminars or courses within a very short time frame, and then get certified officially by CSILs. Do you think that this is a good initiative and something we should continue to look into, or do you find that it's something that each individual company would want to foster on their own? Please, David. Yeah.
I think this is something that each individual company is going to probably foster on their own from the beginning regardless. I think the objective of the CYP isn't to get people educated on these things. It's more to get the passion and the drive behind pulses. A couple of days back there was some talk about the millennials, you know. We as the younger generations, we got to take a direction that veers us away from pulses as traditional foods. We got to rebrand it as cool. We got to rebrand it as it's awesome to eat a lentil burger instead of a beef burger. So I think the objective of the younger people is to just we're fortunate, we're in the industry, we understand it a lot more, but it's our objective, and it should be our ambition, to go out and to educate and to the rebirth of the pulse as cool. You know, this technical stuff, companies are going to generate that within their own organizations, and I don't think that's something that CYP needs to concentrate on.
Great, thank you. So again, fostering of those seeds that want to get germinized into something greater. It's getting something, a small idea, having a youth with a small idea, growing it within this industry, essentially, more so than the training aspects. Okay, thank you. I'm going to have Atheeqe take the mic to talk about what's moving forward.
Thank you, Iman. I think she did a very good job. Give her a round of applause. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for coming in today. I know it's the last day, and it's not easy when there's not really many interesting things on the panel to discuss, but thank you for coming. So I'm just going to talk a bit about how we're moving forward with CYP and going ahead, how we plan to structure the organization. When we started out CYP 3 years ago, when the whole idea was originated, we spoke about bringing in the youngsters or the young people within CSILs together on an open platform. It was more of a social thing. We said, okay, let's first try to get them all together and see if something interesting comes out. And it's surprising to see, it's actually quite heartening to see what we've done over the last 2 years. It doesn't sound like much, but I think there's a lot of passion that has gone behind what has happened over the last 2 years. What's more important, I think, is the participation which has to come from the members. And we're quite, I mean, it's a bit of here and there, but there has been a lot of participation, especially among the coordinators and many other people within the CYP who have, continuously attended our events or replied to emails or attended or replied on discussions we've had regarding various activities. One important development, what the Hakan has and the CSILs committee has decided on is allowing one voting member on the executive committee. Now, this is something very important because, many of us come from traditional, families where we are from family businesses or second generation or third generation. But there are also many people here who are new to the industry. Like what David said, there's some new talent coming in who are looking at the industry to decide if this is what they want to do or not want to do. And this is a very good medium for them to enter and become something in the lentils business or in the pulses business. And getting this power from the executive committee to having one voting member, I think is a fantastic opportunity to grow within the lentils business and within the, sorry, not lentils, I keep saying lentils, it's pulses business and the CSILs as an organization. So what we have done, we're in the process of establishing our bylaws of how we structure such initiative within our CYP organization. And so basically we have a system of coordinators. I mean, we have 5 coordinators on the board of the CYP who sit and decide and confer on all the activities that we do. So these coordinators will basically be, one among these coordinators will be one who will be chosen to go on the executive committee as a voting member. The term decided was been 2 years, so it is a rotational basis, which is actually good. And we've set down that each of the coordinators, before they can be eligible, or any CYP member to be eligible to go on to the executive committee, should be on the CYP, should be on at least a few standing committees, and should have been at least on 2 observer meetings of the executive committee meetings. So this is something very important going forward. So just explaining this, a CYP member can become a coordinator. At the same time, he's an observer on the executive meetings, and then he can be nominated to be an executive voting member on the executive committee. Moving ahead, as I said, we're setting down our bylaws now, so we should have a much more clearer structure. And what we were very concerned about is hierarchy, because we're not going to be young forever. We have to move ahead, but at the same time, we need the people within the organization to come ahead and take responsibility. So we've put together a system whereby we keep generating new talent within ourselves, and and have some sort of leadership. The professional exchange program is very interesting because, think about it. You could be a summer intern working in a company. You could be a young trainee or maybe a young trader working in let's say, in the lentils business, and you want to know more about beans. CYP could be an opportunity where we can link you up to another company who's maybe in a different line of business to work with them for a couple of months. So this is a very interesting idea, and we've had a lot of interest from companies who are accepting to take on interns or trainees for a minimum period. So we'll develop this in the time to come. And in most of the meetings now, especially the one before us also, they spoke about scholarships. Yes, our industry is basically about trade, but there is also a lot of research and development going on. And with IOP coming up, I think because it's difficult to fathom what really is going to happen to this industry. A lot of changes are going to come about, and that's what we get a gist of what we hear all these days. I think in a way, the way we do business will change. Our customer profiles will change. Our focus on what we need to do in future will change. So I think this is a very important and an excellent opportunity to get involved with IOP and to see what we're going to do in future. And scholarships, for example, like the FAO had for scientific scholarships, research scholarships, or even grants to go and attend professional exchange programs or professional programs in universities is something we will be focusing on. What we spoke about also is, when we have, CSILS is quite an old organization. It's been there from the 50s, I think, right? Yeah, from the 50s. So, and going ahead, it's been evolving quite a bit. I remember when I joined not so many years ago, or many years ago, it was full of old people, quote unquote. And at least we felt very young compared to all the people around. And we used to always think, okay, now who would be the next president and who would be the next vice president, or what is going to happen? But this evolution has been quite dramatic over the last few years, especially since we had some new leadership coming in. And I think there's going to be a lot of young people involved in moving things forward. So in a way, the vision of our CYP is the leadership of the executive committee should come from within the CYP, because it's all about passion. David just said it right now. You need to develop a passion for this business. And more than the business, you need to develop a passion for what you want to do. You want to be involved in leadership, please come ahead, there's a platform. You want to be involved in volunteer work, please come ahead, there's a platform. You want to be involved in social activities, or, as we were doing last night, please come ahead, there's things to do. But what's more important is to take that initiative and come forward. There's always somebody to listen to you. We are a voice to you, and all the coordinators here would be and all the mentors would be more than happy to discuss anything you have. And we had one of our meetings 2 days ago, and a very important point came about. You cannot wait for change to come to you. If you want change, you have to start working towards that change. So one of the CYP members came to me yesterday and said, I read about your profile, you did a leadership program a few years ago. I said, yes, it changed my life. Similarly, you can come and talk about what you want to do, and I see, it feels like I'm talking to most young people, but even other people in the room. You have trainees working for you in your company, you have young people joining you all the time. Giving that boost to them to move ahead or to look for, different opportunities of volunteering, because always something will come about. Doing something new is always exciting. And when you do something new for the first time, it's even more exciting. So I think that's very important. So, yeah, I just want to say thank you. And before we go ahead, people think that the CYP is all about a social network. Yes, social network is a very important part of what we do. When we talked about, when we started this business, we spoke about CYP being a new generation of people within the pulses industry. We wanted to bring back some of the old values of, my bond is my word is my bond, and family and friends for life. And I think this is happening now. You see a lot of people from different parts of the world, even our coordinator meetings. You have somebody in China about to sleep, we have somebody in Canada about to wake up, and we all sit together and have our conversations and discussions how to take this forward. So I think that the vision of Hakan starting this, and I think our hard work is going to bear some fruit in future, and inshallah, a lot of interesting things to come. Thank you.
So thank you everybody very much for your attendance. And on behalf of the coordinators, first of all, we would like to give a special thanks to Mr. Hakan Bahshishi for helping the CYP grow. We would also like to give special thanks to all the executive committee members, but specifically Gavin Gibson as well, for really being there and pushing us forward and allowing us to establish certain things and initiatives. We would also like to thank Gökçe and all of the mentors that are sitting here today that are helping us move forward and being there and available on phone calls at any last minute, like doctors essentially. Thank you so much for your contribution and help. I would like to also ask Mr. Hakam to come on the stage for just a moment and give a few words, and also for Mr. Hussein to join him, because we do look forward to his new presidency, God willing, and it'll be great to have him help promote this initiative. And before you all leave, we would like to take a picture together, the coordinators with the mentors and the past and future presidents, if that's okay. And then lastly, one more thing that needs to be considered is that we will be opening up the spots for 2 coordinator positions. And we will give more detail of that information through emails, and we'll be calling for nominations within the youth. And then we will inform you of new activities to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Iman. I'm very happy to see some tangible results happening now, and subject to General Assembly approval, the motion that was approved by the committee will now secure a seat for our future of our industry, the future leaders of our industry. I think for a succession planning to the board and to engage the youth in the whole process, in the whole value chain, is very critical. We have listened earlier, one of the panelists mentioned about how important it is to get the young scientists actually getting involved with the innovation process. I think that's a key. That's why talent development is very important. Resources allowing, we must look at that scholarships specific to pulse studies, and this is one project that hopefully CYP will run successfully. And yes, a few days ago, the executive board showed the support and unanimous support. So hopefully things are now happening, and I encourage all the young professionals really to get involved. Get involved. Set your governance, and then everything will just flow on its own. It's very important to have 2 presidents at the same time waiting, all right, to show our trust and support. Huh? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hakan. In 2016 and 17, we will be in full support to young professionals, especially when we see the result. The first result is Iman Reda. He finished the meeting on time. He learned for the first time these things. So this is, I hope Iman will continue this with Atheeqe in executive committee meetings. So this is the first achievement, finishing the thing on time. Thank you for all supporting this, and especially to Hakan. This is a great project. As executive committee and myself, we fully supported this idea. And as Hakan said, first time president and future president, we fully stayed on board here to listen all of you. Thank you very much, and wish you all success.